diamond in the rough. Had depression and anxiety, so I will never cuff. When they ask me to commit, I say I've been through way too much. Yeah, 2 cups up, man, this liquor feels amazing. Real fucked up, cause your vibe is so contagious. Adding my story while I'm flipping through these pages.
What up, what up, what up? You already know who this is. Your boy Devontae Forever, back at y'all with another video. Today we're going to do something very, 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 very different from what we've usually done on the show. Today, we're going to talk about the GOAT, okay? We are going to talk about that boy Kanye West. I didn't know I had to spell it out for people, but Kanye is one of the most polarizing artists we've ever had, period. The things he's done with his music are just legendary. And as you guys know, he just dropped his last album, Donda. Well, he didn't drop it yet, but the live stream, 2 of them joints. And before we get into that, let me just talk to y'all real quick. Okay. We can get right up here. Okay. I can tell a lot of you guys don't really know about Kanye to where his albums are very late. For example, if you look at The Life of Pablo. The Life of Pablo came out on a Saturday at midnight or something like that. It was some crazy joint. It was out mad late. No, it was past midnight actually. It was 1 in the morning because he did Ultralight Beam on Saturday Night Live. Then you have Ye. Ye was very late. I believe at the listening party it came out in the afternoon or something like that. It was late in the afternoon. Same thing with Jesus is King. So now why did people, even though it's stupid, people like myself stay up and wait for this album to come out on Thursday night like it was about to drop? I don't know. But that's what we call the Ye effect. And we're going to talk about the Ye effect. Kanye really had us all up. He damn near had at least 30,000 in the Superdome for people to listen to his album. That's crazy. He didn't talk. He didn't speak. Bro, he didn't even show his face. And we were all mesmerized and entertained. And then, not only did he do it once, first off, the first time he played a bunch of mixes of songs that weren't even done. One of the songs, I believe, is called Jail on the album. He did that. Jay-Z sent that verse in that day. It wasn't even mixed properly yet. And it's still one of the best things you possibly could hear. The craziest thing when you listen to the greatness of Ye is his mind. Kanye's mind is one of the craziest things you ever see. The way he thinks about music, the way he produces music, and how the best way to describe it, Kanye makes music difficult. For people who think they can just go be rappers and they can go make beats and go be famous, Kanye makes you look at that nah, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. His production is so unique. And the way his albums are all crafted are crazy. So now, let's really get into it. We're going to talk about Donda. And first off, we're going to talk about my initial reactions. This album was fantastic. In a nutshell, this album was fantastic. I think this album has everything you would possibly want. A sound of current, absolutely, with the features of Roddy Ricch and Griselda and Lil Baby, Thugger, Playboy Cardi. It's really not my cup of tea, but Kid Cudi, Don Toliver. There's so many people. Fabio, Bourne, like so many people, and they all went crazy. Ye brings the best out of all his features. All his features always come through and drop their best material. Like Fabio had the best verse of his career. I dare somebody. Double Dog. I dare somebody to tell me any different. Easy is easily the best verse he's ever put out in his life. Then you go to Don Toliver on Moon. That might be, those are the best vocals. And don't get me wrong, Don Toliver got some shit that I fuck with heavy. But that little, I wanna go to the moon, can't even do it justice. So fire. So fire. And then, of course, him and Cudi just kill it. Him and Pusha. Him and Hove. Like, bro. It was just like, this album was an experience. And, like, you feel like the beats, like the hard knocking beats. And you're like, yo, this gets me hype. And then you get a mixture of that. And then you get, like, the soul. Then you get stuff that's really just filling your chest. And you're just like, yo, that's deep. Like, this hit. And then Kanye rapped often. Kanye was going off. There were some songs where I'm like, yo, Kanye is wilding. Like, bro, like, this project has a lot of things. Pretty much has everything people want and expect from a Kanye fan. I mean, for a Kanye fan. And when I mean Kanye fans, some people really aren't Kanye fans. And it's okay to admit that they're not Kanye fans. Like, it's okay. Like, I know people who be like, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is just alright. Just alright. You know what you are? Not a friend no more. Thank you. You leave your opinion at the door. Like, it's just crazy. Like, some people just want to be, some people are just trolls. Now, what did the album mean for Say? Let me tell you what this album meant. Now, I'm watching this, the live stream, right, with my best friend Keandre, right? Me and Keandre have been best friends for 18 years. One of the biggest reasons why we are friends is because of Kanye West, Eminem, and G Unit. So, like, Kanye is always like, we defend Kanye's name to the fullest. Like, one of the people we fight for on a daily basis. I don't think there's only one person we fight for more than Ye, and it's probably Michael Jackson. So, like, we are really, like, big Ye fans, right? So, I get out of work, we come here, we're watching this live stream, right? And as we're watching it, and I'm listening to these songs, I'm like, I'm missing something. And then I kind of think I have this theory that I think I figured out the album. Because this album doesn't start at track 1. This album actually goes, I think this album actually starts at 808s. 808s and Heartbreaks. Because if you look at the time, look was around that time. His mother's passing was around that time. The Amber Rose split. So, like, 808s and Heartbreaks, there was a lot of pain, Coldest Winter, Heartless, Paranoid. Just everything was just really falling down on him. The Taylor Swift scandal, like, everything was just really bad time for him. And then that carries into My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And when you look at Runaway, and then on the last part of which is also Runaway's like a top 5 song ever. When you like hear like the where like the kind of like the muffled sound, how like that's imagery of him that's how he thinks people, how he sounds to people, how like people don't understand him. That's what he thinks. Like, that's how he thinks people perceive him. That's what he thinks people hear them. And that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy as a concept, right? But when you go to the album is very dark. twisted fantasy, dark fantasy, and you're really getting into his mind and how many like twisted thoughts he really has. But in the end of the day, it's still beautiful because, you know, even comedy is tragedy, for sure. Then, his next single album would be Yeezus, because you have Watch the Throne and Cruel Summer and shit like that. His next single album would be Yeezus, where he feels better yet, just much as like he's better than everybody. He's very arrogant, very like, okay, I'm back on my bullshit. Fuck you, what y'all think? I'm a god. You ain't got the answer, sway. A lot of aggression, a lot of anger. And if you look towards the end of that album, you have Bound to Kim. Yes, he met Kim, I believe, before Yeezus. But like from Yeezus to The Life of Pablo is when you really start to see the impact that Kim starts to bring to his music. So, you know, gets with Kim, he becomes happier, you know, as North and Saint. I believe they only had North and Saint at the time the Life of Pablo came out. Maybe they might have had Shy, Baby Shy. And then The Life of Pablo comes, where he still kind of feels like this hole in his heart. And he's like literally like trying to, he's like finding his way towards Christ. And literally that album is really him finding joy, really like finding a happiness in finding Christ, but also being trapped in his ways that he's accustomed to. Like, think about it, there's a lot of gospel sounds on it and stuff like that. And when he was tweeting about The Life of Pablo, he was saying how it was a gospel album. That's why you have Ultralight Beam with him and Chance and stuff like that. And there's a lot of God references on this album, but also you see a lot of dark things and Father Stretch My Hands, and like his verses in that, highlights and stuff like that. Like he was trying to make like the church sound up. He's trying to use a church sound, but also bring in like all like the stuff he's accustomed to and the demons and the things that play in his mind also at the same time. Now, then you get to Ye. Ye, when you get to Ye, you start through mental health. His mental health is really deteriorated. And like the Trump thing and the slavery Trump thing was going on. And like how like Kim was really hurt and like thought like they were about to lose it all. His mental health was all over the place. Like Ye was really struggling. And you get to this point where like, but like he still has so much to live for. He gets, how could I forget? He gets diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And like he's still searching for his happiness, and he's learning how to live with this new reality. And he's trying to learn how to he's loving him for being him. He doesn't see his bipolarness as a disability. He sees it as a superpower. And I feel like that's like one of the coolest things about that. One of the coolest things about that fucking album. But also you start to see the mental anguish that he's going through. His name is getting dragged in the mud. And like people are talking about not being fans of him anymore. I was not one of those people, but it was absolutely crazy. It was a crazy time for him. And then you go from Ye to Jesus is King. He through Christ, he's starting to follow God more, listen to all the sermons. He starts the Sunday service, Sunday service. and he's really starting to get people in the church, and he's trying to spread his love for Christ to the people, to the world, and literally took this church everywhere. He even hooked up with another church called Transformation Church. Shout out to Michael Todd, big fan. And had them speak at this ceremonies and stuff like that. He had Dr. RIP DMX. He had DMX also at this. It was all crazy. And then when you think about it, it was about the happier side of church. And the happier side of church is what we all see on the outside. Jesus is King is like, just, it's happy, go lucky. But when you really think about it, a lot of times people don't listen to the words because you see people dancing and praising the Lord. But it was also a more happier time in Kanye's life. And then, look what happens after that. He starts to get heavy. He gets heavier. Then he decides he's gonna run for president as an independent, and nobody really took him serious. His Twitter was going crazy. Really, just everything was just really going down for him. And then he said the Harriet Tubman thing, which was really bad. And then starts the Kim stuff. Him and Kim start having problems. You start seeing rumors everywhere that him and Kim got divorced, that Kim is leaving him. Left him. He became heavy. Like, he was very big for a little while. And, like, to a point where, like, you see one of your favorite artists, people start to really wish help for him. Like, he really seemed like he was really struggling. And he was really losing himself. And then you get to Donda. Now, when I was thinking about this, Donda West, his mother, obviously, Hey Mama, one of his best songs, you know what I'm saying, performed her for her. But more or less, when you look at it, the first half of that live stream are very dark, menacing beats and very dark sounds. It's very somber. And the first part of that could be his sins. Those could be all his sins. I believe he cursed on a few parts of the of the first half of the album. Everything was very just dark and menacing and very aggressive. And then you get to this very somber interlude thing where he's like crying out for help. He's screaming like, I'm losing my family. And like it just really just makes you think, like, damn, man, like, he's going through all this, and we didn't even notice that he was going through all this, and he's just struggling, and he's screaming like, I'm losing my family. And while he's like crooning through this song, you hear like Donda, you hear his mom, I believe, saying like, always take care of your family. Oh, never abandon your family. Never abandon your family. Never abandon your family. And then when you go to the second half of the album, it starts to get more like his faith becomes revived. Like, he's refining his purpose. And then in the song, I believe it's called Jesus, for now, it had Jay Electronica on it, and I really can't. I think the other guy's name is Ruga, and there's somebody else, I can't remember their names. But on that song, he had, first off, one of the best songs on the album. And he starts talking about like, I wish like I could take my mom's place. Like, I wish like my mom can go back to earth and then I can go to heaven, and these things, and how he misses his mom. because like he feel like he hasn't been right since he lost his mom. Which when you're somebody who's lost your mom, that's fact. That's a fact. And I'm telling you from experience as somebody who has lost her mother before. It's a whole ass fact. So with that being said, that's one of the hardest things he's had to deal with. So that became one of the biggest struggles for him. And then you continue to go through the album and it starts to get lighter and lighter and lighter. Not to me, this music becomes gas. But like then he has a song with Kim that he started to talk about the Kim situation. And it was fantastic. Fantastic. It's my personal favorite. And he says, I remember it's like, I believe it's gonna have Francis and the Lights on it, which is one of my favorite groups. And in the song he says, I give up doing things my way. And like you can hear it in his voice, the pain. And then he's still like how he talks about how Kim is still in love with him, always has love in her heart for him. But he knows that like it may be over. He knows that it's his fault. And I feel like that for Kanye, that was like a big step that people didn't talk about. But after that song, you start to hear things like the next song, I think it's like an interlude or something like that, but like more or less he's singing with the choir like, we're gonna be okay, we're gonna be all right, being more rejoiceful. And the reason why it's so happy is because he's finally accepting that he still has his flaws, and that just because he doesn't believe in God does not mean God's not going to challenge you to be better. And he understands that there's still a bigger purpose out there for him. And he's okay with that, and he's still accepting that he still has more growing to do. This album really made him realize that he is not a god, but he's a child of God. With that being said, the last song on this album is called No Child Left Behind. And you see him rising. And you see him slowly rising up out of this Mercedes-Benz Superdome. But when you look to like a couple days before the album live stream, you see somebody took a picture of the stadium and this big ass light that was like all the way up to the sky. Now, the first song on that album was Life of Pablo was Ultralight Beam. We're on an ultralight beam. This is an ultralight beam. This is a God's dream. This is everything. And when you listen to that song, it makes you think, you're like, oh, we're on an ultralight beam. He was finally there. He was almost there. And then you see the countdown that he had for Don Dowers when he was like, when it was muted and stuff like that. That was a countdown of him ascending into the heavens and accepting himself, accepting God as his Lord and Savior. Even though through all the mistakes he's made, he's saved him. And that's why the last song is called No Child Left Behind. And the lines in the song that is that like, he's done miracles on me. Because even when he thought life couldn't get any, that he couldn't change, God stepped in and gave him the strength to change. And that we all can do the same. And that even when somebody died, like even though when he lost his mom, and how that still pains him, she never left his side. And I feel like, bro, that's fucking beautiful, bro. Like the fact that like he just painted this picture through the whole fucking album. And then literally ascended into the sky. Finally ready to be on this ultralight beam. And rise as happy and as rejoiceful to give his glory to God, no matter how hard it is. Like, bro, that's fucking beautiful, bro. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to sound like a stan, but like, bro, that's fucking beautiful. Like, what more do you want, bro? Like, you really don't get more beautiful than that. So yeah, man, that's the Donda experience of the live stream, and that's like my thoughts on what the album really means. It's really him accepting what has happened to him and learning how to live with it, learning how to live through God, learning how to live through his mom, and realizing that we're going to be okay if we continue to keep trying every day. That's fucking dope, bro. Like, I'm sorry, like, that's fucking dope. Yeah, man. So like, that's the album. Shout out to Mr. West. Mr. West is one of Kanye, bro. Like, Kanye's one of the greatest ever to do this. Period. I don't think there's anybody better. I mean, yes, you could argue Jay-Z. Besides Jay-Z, it's just like, but like, as a creative, like, Kanye is one of the greatest of all time in music. Nobody has done things Kanye has done the way he does it, and he just brings out the best in people. And you can see, even at his lowest of points, even when he knows the world sometimes, even when the world didn't believe in him, he still found a way to change the culture. Nobody has their grasp on the culture like Kanye West. And I think that's like one of the most important things. And that's one of the best things. That's one of the things that make him the most great. Is that even through all he goes through, you've never seen so many people, you've never seen somebody like him who shares his own flaws like this. He literally lives his life in the public eye, but still remains to be him. So, with that being said, that's my take on this Donda album. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know your guys' thoughts. And like, really just, bro, like, let's pray. Let's all hope and pray that this album comes out from respectfully Justin, Consequence, and whoever else gives us updates about this Kanye album. Let's just pray that it comes out so we all can bump this shit, because it's just perfect. Thank y'all, man. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Subscribe, like, and comment. Y'all know the drill. Y'all already know. It's been your boy Devontae forever, and I'll see you soon. Y'all already know. Bang.
Let the beat drop. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.